Hello, hello, hello. Hopefully I'm live and you can hear and see me. Can you comment in the box below? Can you give some likes, give some hearts? Just let me know you can hear and see me, so I'm not talking to nobody. I'm going to look to the right a little bit sometimes because I have a big screen here and my laptop right in front of me. Here we go. Yes, it can. Oh, great. Thanks, Kim. Thanks, Lynn. All right, guys, welcome to the kickoff party for the Crohn's and Colitis Summit. It is such a pleasure to bring you this information, and I'm really excited. Some of the things you'll hear will probably be confronting. Uh, Everything you'll hear will be helpful, because that was my main intention, is what can I provide, what can I show to those who are struggling? And I'm also part of that struggling community. I am definitely not your guru. I've had a tremendous health journey this year, but I've brought together those who understand reversing chronic disease. So you probably already know the statistics, but I think it's smart to start off with that. You know, right now there are more than 3 million Americans with IBD. There's 10 million worldwide. Many more millions have IBS. There's a lot of crossover symptoms and treatments. And perhaps worse than any of that is it's increasing yearly by 15%. All autoimmune diseases. So obviously what's currently going on is not working. And I saw this statistic recently, only 5% will ever succeed in finding long-lasting symptom and medicine-free remission. Well, my mission is to increase that number dramatically, and I hope you'll join me on that mission. So I'm curious, feel free to write in the comments below where you're from. Last I checked, we had, I think, 20 to 30 countries signed up, which is really amazing. So I promise you that if you do the work, what these experts educate you on, you will be healthier. I'm not saying it's easy. It's disease after all. And I don't know if you'll be healed, cured, or off medication. Someone emailed me the other day. I can't make any promises because every individual is different. Every situation is different. So just listen with an open mind and try some of these things out. I really know it's going to make a difference for you because as you saw in the video on the website, I was thankfully able to avoid surgery and immunosuppressants. And most of this information is what I use to help myself get better. And unfortunately, too many conventional medicine doctors, which is probably the reason why you're here, are unfortunately not educated in this stuff. And God bless their heart. They really do want to help. But this is not information that comes from standard medical school. So it depends, what are their lifestyle practices? Are they continuing education through integrative and functional medicine, for example? It really depends on where their knowledge came from and how open-minded they are. So a little bit of a personal story. I was diagnosed in 2001 and I did nothing for 10 years, meaning I masked the symptoms with mesalamine, and being a dynamic disease, it progressively got worse. I did not have this information out there. And in about 2012, I was already living in San Diego and things got really bad. And I quit my very cush engineering job and I had to figure it out on my own. And I've been on this journey since then to learn and as well as provide valuable information to others. Over the years, I've done a lot of volunteering with individuals with Crohn's and colitis. I've donated a lot of money for a pharmaceutical cure. I founded support groups, integrated support groups. I welcome anyone. It's so much easier to heal with others That was the intention of this summit, to bring a community together, a like-minded community. That's what the Facebook group is for. That's for those who are not on Facebook. I'm working on another avenue so we can all converse. But feel free to start a support group in your town. When I was going to support groups, they were only talking about surgery and medicine. And that's not something I wanted to consider, because if I wanted to, I would just go to my GI. That's what his knowledge was at that time. So I started an integrated support group, and I brought in practitioners who looked at disease a little bit different. So I welcome anyone. It's not that hard to do. It does take some time and some money, but it's really empowering, and that's one of the long-term visions for One Great Gut. I also volunteer at a camp that's specifically for children with Crohn's and colitis, and it was one of the most heartwarming weekends I've ever been to. I mean, children who, we all know the shame that exists with this disease, and just seeing children make lifelong friends with others to really chat about some of the, bathroom stuff they go through is really a beautiful thing. I mentioned I got sicker and sicker. So if it's all right with you, I'd like to tell you the exact moment of where I decided that I had to do something. It's a couple-minute story. Is that okay with you guys? I think it's important to give a little bit of background. So I'm going to read most of this. I'm still working on this, but it's 100% true, and it kind of triggers some things in me. So in 2009, I'm in my bachelor pad in Mission Beach, San Diego, and my stomach is suddenly killing me. I'm literally hunched over that the pain is so crippling. 1 minute ago, I was perfectly fine. And my first thought was it the Mexican food I ate last night? Did they put cheese on it? Did I miss that? They must have put cheese on it, but I'm really thorough at avoiding cheese. So the sharp pain lasts for 10 unbearable seconds. And then I'm perfectly fine again until 10 minutes later, it strikes again hard and fast. This time I take a Vicodin, certain it'll stop the attack. It's a painkiller, right? But it doesn't do anything. And these painful bouts continue relentlessly. You see, 7 years before that, I was diagnosed with IBD. However, I had not been able to maintain a pain-free life with the mildest of medications. And I certainly never felt this level of pain before, not even close. It felt like I could die. And I can't stop the stabbing pain in my gut every 10 minutes. I'm going to stop for a second. Carrie said she can't hear. Can others hear what I'm saying? Looks like we have people from all over the United States, different time zones. Pretty cool. We'll have a bunch of guests joining us. Please comment below if you can hear, because Carrie said she cannot. Oh, you can. Thanks, Kim. Thanks, Scott. So we have some guests coming up that I'm really excited about as well. Some of our speakers will be here. So going back to my story. So the pain wouldn't stop, right? It repeated every 10 minutes, and I was literally hunched over. It was really significant pain. You see, the day before, I flew home from Guatemala. I'd been there for a couple of days to have Thanksgiving with a buddy who was living there. And the last night, I stayed in a hostel, and I drank the local rum, which was known to be clean alcohol with less side effects. Now, doubled over in my oceanfront apartment, I'm thinking that was a really dumb decision. I had never had intense pain like this. I'm shocked. I'm confused. I'm really scared. I'm scared that I might lose an organ. We all know what's possible if you have IBD. So I meet up with a buddy later in the day, and he suggests I call his cousin, who's a retired medical doctor, and I do so. And she says to me, and I hope she'll say to me, go to CVS, pick up this thing, and you'll be fine. Well, she does not say that at all. She says, go to the emergency room, ER, right now. There's nothing that CVS has that can help you. You need the ER now. So I drive myself to the ER with great difficulty every 10 minutes. I finally get in to see someone, and I'm hoping that whatever CVS doesn't have, the hospital has. But the nurse only says, I can give you a prescription for Vicodin. She says that'll stop the pain, and tomorrow you can see the gastro doctor. And I already tell her that Vicodin didn't do anything, and that's all they can offer. So I'm really angry. I was flipping pissed, and I went for help at a hospital, and they can't help me. I made a huge fuss, and I had them. It's a Sunday evening. I had them have the GI on call me on my cell phone, and he does. And all he can do is make a promise that he'll see me first thing tomorrow morning. So the next day, he suggests I take prednisone, a drug that I'd never heard of before at that time, and schedule a colonoscopy. Because, there's nothing like starting off your day with a 6-foot flexible tube and a camera inside you taking pictures, right? So I start this new drug, 6 pills a day, and it works. It stops the pain in my gut. But you know those ads for pills that always come with a rapidly spoken long list of horrible side effects, most of which are worse than what we're taking the pill for? Well, as you know, prednisone is that kind of pill. Common prednisone side effects include sleep problems, insomnia, mood changes, increased appetite, high blood pressure, buzzing in your ears, chest pain, changes in the shape of the location of body fat, especially in your arms, legs, neck, breasts, and waist. I can go on and on and on. And I didn't just make that up. I actually took that from one of the leading medical websites. So the good news for me is I didn't get all that. But what I did get is known as moon face. I'm sure are nodding your head right now. So yeah, my face blows up like a bowling ball, literally. I'm working a sales job at the time, and suddenly I'm like, well, I look like a guy with a moon head. And I also get gritting teeth, which was really annoying. I get joint pain, which is debilitating, and I become really antisocial. I call prednisone the devil's medication. And these side effects keep on hitting me. And then I realize something. I'm receiving the gold standard in medical treatment for IBD. I'm actually a walking poster child for a successfully treated case of IBD. Me, Mr. Antisocial, teeth gritting, moon face man. And then something unexpected happens. I found this guy, Bob, in Massachusetts. He's one of our interviews. And he had cured his own IBD using his mind. And when I discovered Bob, I kept looking. I discovered Joe, and he's going to join us later today. He also healed himself through his mind. And it birthed something in me. It solidified my mission, and I knew what I had to do. So since the end of 2010, I've dedicated my life to helping people with IBD solve this without having to go through the devastating effects of what normally comes recommended. So I hope that gives you a better understanding of where all this came from. I'm imagining myself back then. So if you've seen my TEDx talk, you know a little bit more of what One Great Gut is about. It's really exciting where we're headed. The summit is just the first public thing we're doing. And being this is a party, right? Like I just told a pretty grim story. I'm curious, what are you guys drinking? So I'm going to let you know what I'm drinking right here. I have bone broth, and I have mint tea, and I also have regular water. So that's my drink of preference tonight. It is a party. That's my party drinks, although I guess I could have gotten kombucha. I didn't decide not to get that today. So I'm curious, what's your preferred party drink? Zia says water. Awesome. Any particular type of water, Zia? There's so many on the market nowadays, right? So what's really cool is we have our first guest here. So our first guest is Karyn Brim, and she's one of our speakers. And we met on the internet, and you've all probably heard of, Kimball said ginger kombucha, Scott says lemon water, which ironically, even though lemon is acidic, it creates an alkaline environment. So it's nice to wake up in the morning and have warm water, warm, clean water with lemon. That's a really good treat for yourself. So I met Karyn on the internet, and we've all probably heard of the SCD diet and how helpful it is. And it can be challenging, right? There's relearning a lot of things. There's cooking, and she makes it super easy with her presentation on cooking a couple of fun meals. So let me bring her into the chat room. Hey, Karyn.
Hey, Joel. How are you?
I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm so excited to be here. Gotta raise the roof a little bit.
Yep. Party time, right?
Exactly. This is awesome.
What is your preferred drink? I asked everyone what their preferred drink is. I have a bone broth here.
Yeah, so
and
I
a
am
mint tea. What do you got?
Yeah, so it's mint tea for me. Yeah, I love, love, love mint. Highly addictive. It's just really great for your digestion. So after dinner, yeah.
Awesome. So tell me, why is the summit important to you? What should people be thinking about as they're listening? And why were you so excited to reach out to me and want to be part of the summit?
Yeah, well, Joel, as you know, I have Crohn's disease for 30 years. For the people that are here tonight, you've probably seen that have been happening throughout the years, right? There might be like the Digestive Health Summit or the Heal Your Gut Summit, right? Or maybe like the Go Gluten Free Summit. And over these years, I've been thinking to myself, yeah, I could kind of extrapolate a little information here and there, but where's the summit for somebody like me? Where's the summit for somebody that has Crohn's and colitis? Where's the summit that speaks direct to me? And thank goodness I saw that you were doing this, and I just have to say thank you to you. Thank you for putting this together, for having the passion and the drive, because it's so needed. I can't wait to watch the summit all week. It's going to be fantastic. And so you know why it's near and dear to my heart, and you know that the specific carbohydrate diet is what really finally quieted my symptoms for me. After having Crohn's disease for 30 years, I spent 20 of those years going with the medical model and, that whole route. But something that, the specific carbohydrate diet is what has helped for me. But something I really want to say to the people that are listening and the people that are going to be joining is that might work for you and that might not work for you. The summit, I think, is about people finding out information, all this natural healing information, taking it all in, and then doing kind of what I did, is like breaking through the fear and finally deciding, okay, I'm ready. I'm going to try something. And honestly, that you try, it would be the best fit. But then else, the summit out something that you can try. Just take that leap. Because I think a lot of times, at least for me, I would ask doctor after doctor, are there natural approaches? Does food have anything to do with what I eat? And the comment that I would hear over and over again was, food has nothing to do with your illness. And basically like natural smatteral, right? And it finally, after questioning that for years and years, I finally realized that just does not fit for me. I don't know what to do about it, but it doesn't fit for me. Yeah, so that was back in, I've been asking that the whole time that I had Crohn's. That was 20 years that I stayed in days. Finally, in 2008, that's finally when I took that leap that, okay, I don't know if this specific carbohydrate diet is the thing for me, but I'm going to try it. And
that even though this is something you heard 20 years ago, unfortunately, it's still being mentioned today all around the world. I've heard it from Europe to Australia to America. So it's obviously there hasn't been enough education to, maybe we can call them conventional or allopathic doctors, that food does make a difference. And it's not as simple as changing one thing, right? There's a lot of things, but if we can improve our health and feel happier and maybe avoid those strong medications and surgery, I don't know about you guys, but that's something I'm going to really strongly consider. And I've become a pretty badass chef over the years, so that's kind of cool. So,
yeah, Karyn, that is actually one of the cool things about it.
I know you purchased the All Access Pass, and I'm curious if you had a chance to look at any of the interviews, anything exciting that you've seen so far?
I was waiting to go through it this week with everybody. You know, I kind of wanted to do it with everybody. So I have not yet. But I'm looking forward to doing it.
Cool. Awesome.
And one of the reasons why I purchased the All Access Pass is because I wanted to be able to take my time with it. I like to, you know, stop and pause and think about it. So I think the All Access Pass is awesome.
Great. Thanks for that plug. But at the same time, I really want
to
everyone to know that it is free. If you just follow the emails every day and go to the website I send out, you can 100% watch everything for free. I recommend the All Access Pass just because, you know, we only take in like 10% of information from things we listen or read the first time. And I know myself, I've re-listened to a lot of the talks and read a lot of talks over and over again because each one has been through this tremendous journey of healing, not just of masking symptoms. And they shared so much knowledge. So yeah, consider checking it out. And I want to mention quickly that we're going to be giving away 2 all access passes on this, the kickoff party. So stay tuned for that. 2 things you're going to have to do is share this stream on your wall and write on that a particular word that I'll mention later. So stay tuned for that. Karyn, is there anything else you want to add? Because we need to move on, but I want to make sure you have everything that you wanted to say.
Oh, I just want to thank you so much. Thank you, Joel, for letting me be a part of the summit. And for those that watch the video on the specific carbohydrate diet, it's happening on day 4. And if you watch it and you say to yourself, you know, this is intriguing to me. I think I might want more information. I might want to try this. I am including a bonus, and it's just for the Crohn's and Colitis Summit. This is brand new. It's my SCD Kickstarter guide. So it gives you everything you could possibly need to get started. So I know when people hear about it the first time, it sounds a little bit confusing and a little bit daunting and overwhelming, but fear not, because I've got you covered. I'm going to get you that Kickstarter guide so that people can get started right away.
Awesome. Well, thank you for providing that. I loved your presentation. I learned some things I didn't even know, and I've been doing a modified SCD for a while. So thanks for joining us. I know
Wonderful.
It's late your time.
Thank you so much, Joel. I really appreciate it. Good luck this week. I'll be following everybody on Facebook.
All right, Karyn. Have a great day. Bye.
Take care. Bye.
I want to quickly address one thing that Amy just said. Amy said gaps and... Wait, are we... Oh, there we go. Amy said gaps and SCD made no difference to her or her family who have Crohn's. And I think that's an important point. So let's choose... Actually, there's a quote I wanted to mention. I want to switch the conversation to the medical side. Actually, Karyn wrote something on Twitter today, and I just saw this. Some other woman, she wrote, 75% of humans with Crohn's and 23 to 45% with ulcerative colitis eventually need surgery because the immune system outsmarts the anti-TNF medication a lot of times. So that means that 30 to 80% of the time for IBD, that the medication does not work. And that's a really crazy broad failure range. So what the question is what's this drugged microbiome scenario suggesting is that instead of fixing the root cause of the inflammatory cascade, the meds are trying to stop the immune cytokine reaction. And as per the evidence, it's not very effective, it seems. PPIs are another medication, proton pump inhibitors, and they actually increase the risk for C. diff, which is a potentially deadly thing. I think it's a C. diff infection. So I want to be clear, I'm not anti-pharma. I'm actually on medication right now. When I went to the hospital over the summer, I was very open to anything that would save my life. But I want everyone to know, like, what are the statistics? What do the drugs do? Let's look at it from an unbiased standpoint. So going back to Amy's question, Amy's point that I think I'm glad she mentioned, not every diet works for everyone, just like not every medication works for everybody. And there's a lot of factors with a diet, right? There's a lot of rules with SCD. Stage 0, stage 1, did you go ahead to, like, it's this, like, I wouldn't be able to address all the factors. And keep in mind, disease is multifactorial. If anyone here has seen a functional medicine doctor, you truly understand that, stress could be the only thing causing your disease. And once you figure out how to deal with stress, you're good to go. Maybe it's mold, maybe it's parasites. Those are all things we cover in the summit. And these diets are very, very helpful. But, Jennifer talks about the vegan diet worked for her, and she's still on it, and she's doing great. Maybe that's something that would help. I don't know. I would work with a practitioner and just keep trucking and staying positive and trying things. Carrie's a medical doctor, and she wrote, she does a modified version of SCD because she can't tolerate dairy. That's something to consider as well. As you'll learn in Dr. O'Brien's interview, just how bad the effects of gluten are in our body. It's really tremendous. And he gave an amazing gift of Betrayal, which is it's for All Access Pass holders. I'll send you Betrayal. It is the autoimmune solution that they're not telling us. And he went around the world and interviewed people, and it's really tremendous. I recommend checking that out as well. So I hope that's helpful, Amy. Sorry to hear SCD and GAPS didn't work, but I commend you for giving it a shot. And I'd love to hear what you're trying next. So it's 5:26, 5:30. We have Anne. Let's see who. Anne Louise Gittleman is going to call at 5:30. That's pretty cool. So let's continue on. I want to talk about money for a second, and this is a sticky topic, and I probably shouldn't be talking about this, but I think I'm really big in transparency, and I'm an open book. If you Googled me, you found a lot of stuff about me. So January 4th of this year is when I purchased a class on how to build a summit. I had no idea how to do this. And I paid $2,794. I then hired a developer for $3,794. So that's almost $7,000. And these were one-time fees. And of course, I'm paying monthly for a lot of the tools we're using. And I'm grateful for it. And the hospital bills are still coming at me. Collection aid is still coming at me. Money, but I just wanted to let you know how expensive it is to put this on. Also keep in mind that I didn't work all of this year. I just worked on the summit. So that's my commitment and dedication to you guys. I'm not saying this at all to kind of make you feel bad to buy the all access. No, nothing. I just want to be transparent to let you know, where is Joel? What does this cost? Etc. Allison mentioned she did AIP, paleo AIP, and the Whole30, and it did decrease her symptoms. So yeah, lots of options. Good point out, Allison. Hey, Anna from New York. Yeah. I'm originally from New York, so that excites me. So let me chat about the speakers who I've gathered. So I literally cherry picked the best in the world. And I actually had an abundance of those who want to speak. And I had to turn some down because or else I never would have published this and we'd never be here right now chatting. So I sought after, who did I look for? I looked for those who are in industry, who are making a difference. I looked for those practitioners who are making a difference in reversing disease. I looked for patients who've successfully found ways of healing. And I don't know if you're familiar with chrisbeatscancer.com. He interviews cancer patients who found natural healing. I think his bar is 5 years remission without medication, without coming back. I think no chemo as well. So I didn't have that hard line, but as you'll see, some of the patients I interviewed, literally 10, 20 years, no symptoms, no medication needed, and they had a pretty gnarly disease. So I also sought out scientists because I think the science is biased. I call myself a whistleblower because it's time to be speaking the truth and not be quiet about things. And if you saw my TEDx talk, you heard this. And often, if a study doesn't have a positive outcome for those who paid for it, it never gets published. Obviously, this is behind the scenes and we don't know about it. There are some statistics I don't have in front of me that I mentioned in my TEDx talk, which are really flippin' alarming. I remember I was seeing a urologist once, and we got talking in his office, and I mentioned if he does any clinical trials, because he was actually poo-pooing herbs, like herbs that you use to, as a supplement. That's crazy, the multi-billion-dollar industry. So I asked him if he'd done any clinical trials. He's like, yeah, he was hired once by a pharmaceutical company. I'm like, cool, how did it turn out? He's like, oh, they never published that study because it didn't go in their favor. And he got paid for his work, right? He went back to his patients, went back to playing golf since he enjoys golf. And we don't get to see the truth. We don't get to see the transparency. And that really flipping pisses me off. And I don't think that's right. And I don't have an answer for that. But when I mentioned I chose industry, I chose Dr. Hal Gunn with Q Biologics. You may have already heard of him. He is a medical doctor who is in the integrative cancer space, and he discovered something about our immune. Well, first, there are different parts of the immune. There's an innate and there's an adaptive. I learned this just in the interview. And he learned through helping these cancer patients that instead of suppressing the immune system like most of the IBD drugs, he found by activating and stimulating, I forget which it was right now, but he was able to heal and get rid of IBD. And I don't think he would use the word cure. He obviously can't use the word cure. I don't know if I would use the word cure either. But that's pretty rad. A pharmaceutical company that has a medication that is not intended for long-term research. How cool is that? I think that's amazing. That's why I included him. So let's see. Dr. Weiss is I believe he's retired GI now, and he mentioned that only 5% of information that we take in at one time, be it, podcasts, books, this video, is only retained at 5%. So that's why I'm giving away an all-access pass today to anyone who shares. And I don't know, what's a fun word? Let's say I am one great gut. So if you write that on your share, again, that's mindset, right? I am one great gut, isn't that what we all want? Then you'll enter, I'll pick someone when we're done here and who gets the all-access pass. Oh, cool. Marnie from Toronto. We're up to 2 countries now as far as the comments go. So what else? Okay, so I want to just quickly go through, oh wait, it's 5:30, and sorry about that. Let me try calling Anne, because she promised she'd be available. Hopefully she is. She's known as the First Lady of Nutrition, which is pretty rad.
Hello.
Hey, Anne. It's Joel Spreckman.
How are you?
You are live on the kickoff party for the Crohn's and Colitis Summit.
Well, thank you. It's so good to be with all the Crohn's and Colitis people there. And God willing, at the end of the summit, those will be conditions of the past, Joel.
That is exactly the intention. I really hope so as well. So, Anne, we met a couple months ago, and you shared phenomenal wisdom about parasites, and you're a super busy lady. I follow you online. Why did you decide to interview with me? Why did you decide to join the One Great Gut community?
Well, because I feel that gut health is the foundation of overall health. Your gut is connected to your brain, it's connected to your heart, it's connected to your immune system. And I think that if we don't get to underlying root causes of why there's dysfunction and unbalance, then we'll never be truly healthy. So it's really the place to begin when you're looking at a new year, particularly 2018, and want to be healthy for the rest of your life, regardless of what you're fighting.
Amen to that. And then you connected me with your friend Ross Pelton, and he shared knowledge from his nutritional depletion book. Why is that important?
Well, it's because there's so many nutrients that contribute to gut health. I mean, people don't realize that we actually feed the gut with certain prebiotics and probiotics. And there's certain herbs, for example, that can cut down on your probiotics, on the healthy bacteria. So it's very important to have the full picture in mind when you're treating yourself.
Correct. Yeah, that's a good point. And additionally, the depletion from some of the medications, so you can learn, if you need to be on a medication, that's okay, but know what you should be maybe supplementing with to counteract the negative effects to mitigate side effects.
There's some medications that are absolutely essential for people, but we need to know if they need more zinc. Usually, of all the nutrients that become depleted, though, we're finding that magnesium plays an important part. Magnesium is so very important for over 350 different processes, and it will relax the gut. It's like a natural tranquilizer to your gut. So I'm a big believer in supplementing with that or testing yourself for it. And beyond magnesium, there's zinc. I see chromium is very important, manganese, and believe it or not, selenium as well. So there are lots of important things I think people will be learning from your Gut Summit. I'm very excited about it, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you, Anne. I really appreciate it. And I learned so much about about the importance of a parasite cleanse. I'm actually on a parasite cleanse right now, which is a little bit crazy considering I'm on a webcam, but it feels really good that I'm eliminating toxins versus taking them in. So thank you for your contribution, and look forward to learning more from you.
Yes, well, this is the right time. Are we around full moon? Is it full moon time? Is there a full moon tonight?
It is.
Perfect time for a parasite cleanse. You're right on schedule, Joe.
Awesome. Well, how does the moon come into factor in?
Well, people are going to have to listen to my presentation. They're going to listen to the presentation and know that there's certain times of the month when these little creatures actually become more activated, and we're in that time right this very moment. Correct.
Well, I'm sure everyone's anticipating your talk. Quick question. Marnie's asking, what about magnesium having a laxative effect? Aren't different types of magnesium that some may not cause that?
Yes, that's a great question. Who was that? Marty asked that?
Marnie, M-A-R-N-I.
Marnie, she's very well informed. The magnesium that we don't want in terms of its laxative effect, if in fact that's desired, is magnesium oxide. Because the magnesium and magnesium oxide is just dumped into the gut. So you look for a magnesium like a brand called MAG-T, which I'm very familiar with, MAG-T, which has different cofactors, maybe magnesium malate, magnesium glycinate, coronate, and threonate. So magnesium oxide we stay away from because of its laxative effect.
Great. Thanks for answering that question. And that's the last question we have. And I know we only wanted to have you on for a couple of minutes because you have a busy Sunday evening. So thank you for joining us today.
Well, we'll see you at the summit.
See you there, Anne.
Thanks so much. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Wow, that was super special. As Anne-Louise Gittleman, First Lady of Nutrition. Definitely follow her online. She's great. Her talk was about parasites, why you probably have one. It's important to know that most parasite testing is notorious for being negative, and it's just something healthy to do periodically, or for all humans, nothing to do with Crohn's or colitis. And she gave a pretty cool gift. She gave an ebook for those who sign up, and she gave a coupon code for 20% off anything in her store. I mean, the intention was for the colon cleanse, the gentle colon cleanse that she recommends, but it could be anything in her store, I believe, except for water treatments and testing. She was unable to discount that, but as we all know, supplement costs add up. That's a pretty cool add-on, and that coupon code will be good until the end of the year. You're welcome, Marnie. I'm noticing a lot of people are saying, I am one great gut. I love it. Make sure you share the video, though, so it appears on your wall as well, especially if you have Crohn's or colitis friends who have Crohn's or colitis, because my mission is to get this information into as many people's hands as possible. Unfortunately, I had to do this on Facebook because it was by far the most affordable option, and some people couldn't join us because they choose not to have Facebook, but they don't want their friends to know, and that's okay. Eventually, we'll get to a place where we could be in a private spot. But make sure you share the video and then write one great gut on that. So I just want to make sure 5:45, we have another exciting guest. Let me see who. Okay, cool. I don't want to share it yet. Keep it to myself. So what else do I want to mention? Well, so like I mentioned before, I had so many speakers and so many patients want to share their stories because, the common narrative, the common line is the Crohn's or colitis is not curable. Okay, maybe that's the case, but if you have no symptoms, that's pretty freaking good, right? And no medication, even better. So these are patients that have been coming to me left and right. Can you please include my story? It's been a journey, right? I mean, you guys know 5, 10, 20, 30, 40 years of unnecessary pain only because of misinformation. So we're going to feature more people. Stay on the email list, stay in the Facebook group. And this, like I mentioned, this first summit is just the beginning. We're going to have things from LDN and stem cells and a lot more that's not on this summit. But I just want to mention the importance of what's coming. So who's on day one that I'm excited about? Day one, which is tomorrow. I got to send an email out tonight. Those videos will go live at 11:59 tonight, PST. And then 48 hours they're live, then I take them down. Every video will be like that. Claudia, to answer your question, everything is not on Facebook, just this party. And the talks are recorded and they'll be presented on the internet. If you're on our email list, you will receive an email with the link to that day's talks. I purposely did not do it on Facebook because I wanted to give everyone the option who, if you don't want to use Facebook, cool, you can still join the summit. Let me know if it didn't answer your question. Oh, cool. We have our guest in the guest room. Cool. Okay, so who am I excited about day one? So Dr. Vincent Pedre. One day I came across his website. It's happygut.com, I think. He's a functional medicine practitioner. Claudia, yes. So the summit is for sale. If you want to upgrade to the All Access Pass, you don't have to. It's 100% free. But if you want to purchase things because you want to watch it later, you want the transcripts, or you want the PDF, or I think $3,000 in bonuses, yes, you can certainly purchase that. So Vincent Pedre ran this website, Happy Gut. He's a functional medicine provider out of New York City. And we were chatting, like, what topic should we chat about? And he mentioned SIBO. I had never considered to educate myself on SIBO. And I'm super glad I did because I got SIBO this year. SIBO sucks. So it was nice to know some options, some testing, and just being able to, tip the conversation towards where I wanted to go with my doctors. Because they often learn from us as much as we learn from them. And oftentimes SIBO is one of the underlying causes for IBD. Because that's what this is about, finding what is your root cause or causes. So Dr. Pedre educated us, and I'll give you a little sneak preview, that 45% of Crohn's patients may have underlying SIBO, 15 to 20% of UC. It's pretty high. So SIBO could be responsible for the cause of it, but also for a flare. And I know a lot of you have been in a flare for a while because I've gotten a lot of messages. So consider treating SIBO, or at least testing for SIBO in different types. So check out the interview and you'll learn more. A couple other things he mentioned that this is important for anyone post-surgery. A Crohn's patient post-surgery is a much higher risk of developing SIBO. So what does that mean? It means, one, if you're post-surgery, you're not doing well, check for SIBO. Two, if you are a Crohn's patient and haven't went the surgery route, it shows the importance of not going the surgery route if you can avoid it. Again, I'm not against these interventions, but know that there's financial incentives behind them. So something just to be aware of. He mentions a thing called SIFO, which you'll learn about, not the F word you're thinking about. And just like we all know, and it's covered in many of the talks, one of the biggest factors to affect gut motility, the movement of stuff, so we go at a regular rate, is stress. And there's no one answer on how to fix this thing called stress. It's a whole separate conversation I will be addressing. But figure out your happy place and things that you can do that can reduce your stress. A lot of the bonuses include some pretty epic meditations I've been doing. And Jennifer Partridge walks us through a tapping session, which is really easy, and it's done on the meridians and significantly reduces stress. I'll tell you a short story. I was in Australia a couple of years ago, and I had this killer headache. Why did I have a killer headache? Because I was judging myself. I'm like, I'm so weird. I had this funny diet. I have all these supplements. Like, people look at me funny. And I just got this headache because I was stressing myself out. So I went to the bathroom because I had to go to the bathroom. And I just did a little tapping. And I did tapping, and I kid you not, I felt amazing, and the headache went away from touching my body. Like, how amazing is that? So I look forward to learning a little more about EFT in Jennifer's interview. Claudia says these surgeries can be avoided, correct? She's a big believer in functional medicine. Yeah, they definitely can be avoided, but I just want to be clear that, they're a better option than losing your life, right? So it's very helpful. Just know that. Another question, as far as me being a truth teller, right? Many of the interviews, I ask doctors, I ask surgeons, does surgery cure ulcerative colitis? No one said yes. I know that's common knowledge out there. I understand that if you don't have a colon, you can't have colitis. Like, physically, you can't have colitis because there's no colon. But it doesn't cure because there are other manifestations and recurrence and etc. So that's an important thing to keep track of. And I also included patients, individuals who are post-surgery and also totally healed off medication to know that that's possible. So it's not the end-all be-all. It is life-saving. It can be avoided, and you can still heal afterwards. So those are all great things, right? What else? Dr. Pedre mentioned the connection between SIBO and PPIs, which I've mentioned. Oh, I want to skip to Joe. Joe here. So Joe Figliano. I'm really excited because he's a friend of mine and I know him and he's an amazing man. Joe Figliano from Australia. Welcome, buddy.
Hello, Joel. Thank you. It's my pleasure being here again and talking to you again. I haven't talked to you for a while. How have you been, man?
I've been going through some things, maybe some stress related to the summit. Who knows?
Yeah. Look, I really love what you're doing there. I've had a lot of good feedback from a lot of my tribe members and people saying that it just looks amazing. So well done, Joel. I really appreciate what you're creating.
Thanks, Joe. I appreciate that. Just a quick little background. I met Joe on the internet. I Googled him because I was looking for more of these hopeful stories. And I was going to Australia for a bunch of reasons. And I looked him up. And graciously, he said, yeah, let's meet up and get a drink. And I got my mint tea that day as well at the bar. And Joe orders a beer. So I'm thinking, how can a dude who had Crohn's disease and not on medication drink a beer? So you'll learn more on that story because his journey has been tremendous. And Joe, how are you doing today? Because it's been a while since that interview. It's been a couple years.
Yeah, fantastic. I'm a transformational coach now, and I run all types of presentations on workshops, not just on self-healing, but also to assist and facilitate for people to transform their lives when it comes to self-talk, emotional healing, and spiritual growth and all that. So I'm really having fun with that. And, it's been in March, it will be 10 years that I'll be completely symptom-free without meds and without any special diet. So I'll be sharing more of that in the summer.
I think it's great not in a special diet because that can be restricting and emotional toll, but just to be clear, you do eat healthy. You don't eat like Twinkies every day, right? You still eat healthy, just not any particular dogma. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, I choose to eat healthy now because I want to, it's a conscious thing, but I still have, sugars and chocolates and fried foods and pizza whenever I feel like it, just not all the time, so at least once a week I'll have pizza, or once a week I'll have like hot chips, or, I can eat cakes, chocolates, so it's all sweet.
I'm laughing, Joe, because that's, the dream of so many people, right? So I didn't realize that was the case, and I commend you for the depth of your healing. And we even went
Thank
so
you.
far to reach out to your gastro and get some of the documentation that he had in his system, right? Remember what he said?
Yeah. Well, there was a time when he said a lot of things too, but there was a time when he said that, I'm really difficult fellow to counsel. It was that letter that you saw, because I wasn't listening to what they were telling me to do. They said that I required surgery. There were three different specialists that said that, including my gastro, that I need surgery, and I just refused in the end, and I took matters into my own hands, and it was frustrating the doctors. Yeah.
Amazing, really, really amazing. And I think that's what the main intention of the summit is to empower people with education, and they can then have a educated choice on what they want to do to move forward, because everything should be a choice. And oftentimes when we're seeing just one doctor or second doctor, or we live far away from helpful medical providers, we're not getting the full spectrum of choices. And so Joe's story exemplifies that.
Exactly, like back then, especially in Sydney, there wasn't as many choices as you have now, especially with integrative medicine and functional medicine and all of that. And it was just, your typical specialist, and they're always just pumping me full of medication. Try this medication, oh, that's not working now. Okay, now try that one. And I'm still having these problems and nothing seems to work, and there's a lot of that going on. And so I suppose what I have to offer is an alternative choice to not just medicine, but any form of medicine, and the alternative to empowering yourself, mindset, beginning with faith and belief and all that's kind of like the placebo,
So I want to be clear, this summit is not a pitch for any particular product or doctor or coach or anything like that, but I find it helpful often to work with providers who have been where you want to be or can take you to where you want to be, and they have the results to prove it. So not to plug Joe or anything, but I do want to mention that, I don't know, Joe, are you still coaching internationally, or we haven't talked in a while?
Yes. Yeah, I coach to 4 different continents. Yeah.
And I remember you worked with another, at least one that I know of, IBD patient. How did that go?
Yeah, great. She went through a 12-week program with me, and coming towards the end of that program, she was having health experiences that she hadn't had for like 2 years. She said that her bowel movements were so much better now than they've ever been, in 2 years prior, and there was much more peace and calm in her life as well. So that's kind of continued for her. She didn't reach the state that I did, in terms of, that being in that place where you're actually completely symptom free. But she did get to a place where she was so much better than where she was before. And the biggest part of that is reaching more peace within self. When we can reach more peace within self. Yeah.
You guys will hear it in Dr. Vincent Pedre's interview, and it's very confronting to hear. And I was confused and angry when I heard this, but he mentioned something to the effect of that in some medical circles, that autoimmune disease is anger turned inward. And I don't know about you guys, but I definitely had my angry days, and have shift that to love and gratitude. I know it sounds woo-woo, but it really does help with the inner piece of it.
Yeah, definitely. And it's working through past emotions as well, or past events that maybe we haven't realized, the emotions that are associated with that. We haven't allowed them to be and accept them and release them. And when we can do that, we're actually removing, we're letting go of the attachment that our cells in our body have to that particular type of emotion, that's it's kind of held in our bodies, So it goes a long way, but not just for IBD, but for any ailment. So, for example, I have a client now that has had problems with his knees for almost 3 years. And by working on a process of emotional release, then he doesn't experience any more pain in his knee. And it allows for so letting go of his old emotions allows for new things to come into his life, our lives as well. So, but it's a different journey for everybody. So just because something worked for me doesn't mean it's going to work for the next person, which is great. But you're creating, Joel, because it gives people a lot of different choices. So.
Yeah, I think that in the day it's about choice. What do you, as long as we stay, so I mentioned this, I do my best to live my life by staying in continual mindful action. Because it's so easy to get caught up in the toilet a lot, or the bed, or just complaining and gossiping, and none of that is doing anything to move us forward on this healing journey. So whatever is your chosen path, make a decision, commit to it, and move forward and try it out for some time. And that's how anything is completed, including a healing journey. And I'm hoping that you have all the options here, that you know things that you didn't know before, and I hope it's beneficial, because it's been beneficial for many others.
Definitely. I tried many different things on my journey, and I suppose the biggest thing for me was empowering myself and saying, okay, well, I'm going to try this, not because somebody else told me, but I'm going to try this because it's an option, so I kept doing that. So, for example, traditional Chinese medicine was one thing that I tried that I feel helped me on my journey. Acupuncture, I feel helped me. Yoga, and getting into nature and mindset training and reading books and all of these things actually helped me. It's like pieces of a jigsaw puzzle that I just kind of put together. But through that, I empowered myself and said to myself, well, I'm going to create this healing, through using these pieces as tools. That makes sense, yeah.
Totally makes sense, yeah. So one last question before we drop off. I think it's an important part of my journey. I'm curious what you would say. What is the importance? Is there any importance to intuition?
Very much so. For me, a big part of my healing process was intuition. Probably the biggest part of which direction to take was intuition. Letting go of what the mind is telling me, so letting go of what my thoughts. So if I can word it in this way, if it's what you think it is, it's not that. Right? So what that means is that
is it what you feel it is versus what you think? Is that why?
It's what you feel it is, yeah, in the body.
Yeah, and I saw someone just commented that they're an engineer. I was an engineer for many years, and as we all know, engineers are in their head a lot because we're creating these, things that need to not break. And there's a lot of head thinking. Yeah. The more I evolve and seek education, there's so much more value in the feeling and the gut instinct combined with the thinking, right? So I'm glad you mentioned that.
Yes. Well, yeah, the thinking comes in because you need the logic to then make things happen. You can't take action without real logic as to how to put things in pieces together. But you let your body drive you into a particular direction, and then you bring in the thinking to make it all if that makes sense. So the body means the gut, but also the heart. So tapping into the power of the heart as well as the gut. I think that is what's worked for me.
Joe, to be honest, I have so much more to learn from you. I don't talk to you enough. Would love to share some of your wisdom with the community as time goes on. You've really immersed yourself in that knowledge from Dr. Rankin and Deepak Chopra and Joe Dispenza, etc. And you are prime evidence of how that works.
Yeah, thank you so much, Joel. I love speaking to you always. Yeah, those people that you mentioned have been a big inspiration for me. I think Deepak Chopra was, when I read his material, that was before I really kicked into my healing journey. It really made a difference. And then Joe Dispenza and people like Bruce Lipton as well, I really connected with what they had to say about neuroscience, neuroplasticity, and cellular biology.
All great things. I've dabbled in that, but not enough, and look forward to learning more from you, Joe. Let us move on to another guest coming up soon. I really appreciate your time. I know it's Monday morning in Australia, so thanks for setting time aside and joining us.
You're welcome. My pleasure. I really enjoyed this discussion, and talk to you again soon, Joel. And I hope you enjoy my talk and interview later. Thank you.
Take care, Joe. Good day. So that is a little bit about Joe's story, and it's just tremendous. When I met him, and I was super skeptical. I'm like, there's no way this stuff works. This is woo-woo. There's no science behind this. And just the more I got to know him and saw his medical records and saw what the GI said and hung out with him and saw he doesn't take meds and he's totally fine. It's really given me a lot of hope and some practical things that I can do, which is something I want to mention as well, that the summit intention, actually every interview, is for you to take away actionable things that you can implement that day if you want to tip your health towards better health, tip the scales. Carrie has a question. Will CBD cannabis be in the summit? Great question, and it will be. So I interviewed Dr. Blair, who's the medical director at Elixinol. Elixinol is my preferred CBD oil company. And I can give you a coupon to save money if you want to purchase. You don't have to. It's an educational interview. He works with IBD patients. He educates us about the endocannabinoid system, and it's 100% legal and ships worldwide. So it's not marijuana cannabis. It's CBD, cannabidiol, from hemp. So we also included a story about cannabis healing. So you probably saw Justine Meter is on the list. Justine is another patient I ran into probably 2 years ago now. And strictly, you can Google her. She has a lot of well-documented articles that she's been interviewed for. She used juicing marijuana leaves because she was not responding to any medication. Like, I think she tried like 20. And she luckily lives in a state where that's legal. She lives in Maine. And because marijuana is not legal in all states, we are donating a portion of all proceeds towards a couple of things. We're donating towards world hunger through the World Program. And because, I mean, let's be real, we may not have it great with this disease, but I think everyone listening, I really hope everyone listening has food, choices on what to eat. Hunger is a massive worldwide problem. So I'm donating money to that. And also to Normal. Normal is the organization in the United States which accelerates reformation of the laws. So I think we have like half the country is okay with medical marijuana, but the government is not. Maybe big businesses have to play there. And often other countries follow what the United States does. Not always. So I figure by donating to Normal, we can help tip that. Again, for patient choice. I'm not saying everyone should smoke. I'm not saying we should also get high. There's smart and dumb ways. Take any medication, any drug, any herb, but we should be able to have a choice and not be locked out from it. And some people have to move from state to state or across the country because they can't get access to something. So, Carrie, that was a great question. quickly see it. Virginia was supposed to join us, but let me message her back. 1 second. Thanks, Nels. Why do you say I'm a saint? That feels really good. All right, while Virginia is figuring out technology, which is not always the easiest, Carrie, you're right. It is insane that opioids are legal while cannabis is not. Actually, I want to mention this is important. I'm going to mention as much as I can about my hospital stay because it was super flippin' gnarly. I went into the hospital with what my GI said was the worst colon she had seen in 40 years. So if anyone was like at a super high risk of death and surgery, that would be me. Let's see. Did they even see Virginia? Because I don't see her. Sorry for. I know it's very unprofessional that I'm asking you this, but I don't. It's weird. I don't see her. Strange. Let me send her a quick email. Sorry, guys. I am figuring this out on the fly with y'all. So going back to my hospital story, right? As I emailed Virginia. I was on painkillers. I knew the addictive nature of opioids, but I also knew I didn't want to be in pain. I mean, not to get too graphic, but I was concerned that my neighbors, I was keeping them up at night because of the pain I had in the bathroom. I was also concerned that I wouldn't get to see my doctor every day because they come in, at a small time frame, the GI and the attending doctor, and if you're not there or if you're not, able to see them, they typically move on. And when your knowledge is functional and integrative and they're throwing down conventional, there needs to be a conversation. And I remember times I was in the bathroom and doctor walks in and she's like, "Oh, I'll come back." I'm like, no, please stay. Like, I really want to talk to you. And it was uncomfortable for her, but each of those daily meetings were super important. So with the pain being the biggest problem, I took medical marijuana, which I actually had delivered to my hospital room. Like, how amazing is that? We're at a place right now where they allow that, at least here at UCSD Thornton. And I also took something called kratom. I don't know much about kratom, but I know the FDA is not a fan of it. That kind of makes me wonder why. And kratom was really helpful for me to be able to reduce my pain and get myself off of the opioids. I was super grateful to have opioids, don't get me wrong, and there were numerous days where I had to beg the doctor, like, please let me have overnight 2 servings or greater milligram or whatever the next notch up was, because, withering in pain is not fun. But I also was doing my best to take a lot of natural things, and it worked. It really, really did. Nell says, funding medical cannabis is going to open a lot of doors. Correct. Pain management may be only the tip of the iceberg that it's capable of. Correct. I'd love to be rid of tramadol, and it isn't even near the worst opioid. It makes me feel like a 2x4. Sorry about that, man. Yeah, I totally agree. More funding will be helpful. More legislative laws, more informed people in positions of power will be helpful. So yeah, I hope you are able to get up tramadol. Maybe try kratom. That might be something helpful. You can buy it online, at least for now, until they put down. Also consider Lixanol. I'll share the coupon code on. I'll put it. Where's the easiest place? I'll put it in the comments later today. It really, really helps with pain as well. They have oral, they have topical, and some people actually take it rectally. So it really depends where the pain is. You can probably even have a medical consult with Dr. Blair. going back to, okay, so Dr. Tom O'Brien, I told you guys he would be here. Unfortunately, he had a family thing came up, and I'm kind of bummed about that because he's a new friend in my life. I met him at a party recently, at a gathering of friends, and he is doing really good things in the world of reversing autoimmune. I mentioned the Betrayal documentary. I want to play you a quick clip from his interview, so you can get a sneak preview of what you're going to see. Let me find this. Well, hopefully, I have that at the right spot. Or maybe we need a little bit of party music, right? I have party music here waiting for us to dance to. I'm so bummed. I meant to ask everyone, the speakers, to give a little dance, give a little jiggy. I apologize. I really wanted to dance with our speakers. So if you're at home, let's dance a little bit. This is Party Rock Anthem, which I'm sure you're all familiar with. So that's LMFAO. Maybe some of you are familiar with them. I'm a huge fan of their music. And I also want to share another song that's in a totally different genre. It's been proven that music can induce cellular healing, so it's very important to know to be conscious of what we allow into our environments. This is a beautiful song by Trevor Hall called "You Can't Rush Healing." And I'll play a short snippet, and I encourage you to check it out because ain't that the truth? You can't rush healing. So that's a little bit about Trevor Hall. I actually have a whole musical playlist public on YouTube that I use in the hospital. And I want to mention that when the nurses and doctors came in my room, almost every one of them would walk in and they would stop and they would say, "Wow, there's different energy here. It feels relaxing. It's healing." And I created that environment, both myself and my friends, and you brought things for me, and I set it up that way because if there's any place that should be a healing environment, it should be the hospital, right? Well, unfortunately, it's not. It's life-saving, and there's a lot of infection and bacteria going around, a lot of sick people and funky energy. So I made my room a healing sanctuary. There's a video, a very raw and uncut video on YouTube, but you can see that I use essential oils and drawing and visualization and music, and I can go on and on. Like there are a lot of things I used because every moment of every day I wanted to get out of there because they were saving my life, but they weren't. The only option they were giving me was surgery or Remicade, and so I knew I had to do things on my own. I got a blender. I was making my own food. I took things to extreme measures because sometimes with disease, it's extreme, right? So just wanted to give you a heads up on that. Check out that video if you want. And feel free to chat in the Facebook group about more about, what do you do to make a healing environment for the hospital or your bedroom, right? They both should be pretty similar. Oh, sorry if you guys couldn't hear the music. That's a bummer. I apologize. I'll post the links below. That was a party faux pas. Well, I'll fix that. If I use this guy, that we can do it. We'll do it after, I promise. Claudia just mentioned the pricing. The price jumped to 147. Will be a coupon for everyone attending. The current price is not manageable of doctor bills. I hear you, Claudia. Doctor bills. Just speaking up front, I have medical collectors emailing and calling, not emailing, but calling and mailing every day. So I made the price as low as I can make it. So it was 97 was the one-time offer for someone who went to the website immediately and took action within 30 minutes. And then it bumped up to 147. That'll be the price for, I think, a couple days. I think Tuesday we bump up to 197, and then it's fixed there. I apologize, the price is not manageable. Maybe if you enter the raffle, share the video, and maybe we'll be one of the people who win. But I can't change the pricing because then I would be dishonoring my word, which is really important, and everyone else who's been abiding by those pricing. Someone mentioned that she missed the $97 one-time offer, and I told her I'm sorry. If I go against the one-time offer, then I become, I'm out of integrity, I become a liar. The most important for me is truth and integrity and honesty. So I hope that answers your question. So Virginia Harper is here to join us. I know she can hear me because I see her just smile. Let me bring her in here.
Hello, Joel. Can you hear me?
I hear you. Can you hear me, Virginia?
Yes.
Awesome.
I'm glad I figured it out.
We are glad too, because I've actually never seen your face other than the internet, so it's nice to see a live Virginia here.
Yes. We spoke on the phone, with email, but we never spoken face to face, so this is nice.
Right. So you're not part of the first summit. You will be part of the second summit. I'm likely going that route. And you still wanted to take part. You were really excited about the summit, excited about One Great God, and you wanted to, jump on here and take time out of your Sunday evening. Why is that? What are you excited about?
Oh my goodness. I am so excited about what you've put together. I've been Crohn's free now for 38 years. I suffered for 7 years in and out of the hospital. Many familiar stories that I've been hearing tonight. It took them a long time to diagnose me back then. And by the time they diagnosed me, they didn't know what even drugs to use back then. And so all the biologics and all the new concepts in treating these conditions I have learned through other people, because thank goodness I was blessed to get over my Crohn's 38 years ago. To get this information out is crucial. I was speaking about it before it was popular, before even looking at healthy food or other options for healing the gut was even known about. Now we have science backing it up. And so that's very exciting. I guess I'm here to give hope that there is proof in allowing time to heal. My healing took a year, but I stayed on track. And I struggled, yes, with the social aspect of it. I struggled with carrying my food everywhere. But, I had such a goal in mind to live Crohn's free. And the more I focused on that, the more answers came and were part of my treatment and toolbox. And at first, I dealt with myself very physically. I figured out what concept I was going to use. And back then, I studied macrobiotics as the teacher of food energetics, which goes a little bit beyond the nutrition part of food, but the way that the food combination helps in different crisis situations. And so that was my path. As I focused on my healing, like I said, all these tools came into place as the years went by and more was discovered. And it didn't take me long to realize there has to be a holistic approach. You can't just work with your body. You can't just work with your ileum. You can't work just with your colon. The emotional that's been brought up here is very important. What I find is whatever road you take, embrace the other. If you come at this from an emotional healing, eventually look at your food too. Look at your habits. Look at your exercise. Look at your mental attitude. If you come at this and like I did in crisis mode for my malnourishment and I was holding food in anymore and I was quickly going downhill, then the physical became my focus, but I quickly, 9 months down the road, started seeing the emotional component to it. Because your body releases that too. You don't only detox the toxins that are chemical toxins, you also discharge emotions, and they come out of your organ system. They come out of your tissues. In Chinese medicine, we're taught that the organ system harbor our emotional well-being. And so as we bring this knowledge into it, does become a holistic system. And whenever I work with a person from that aspect, they always have tremendous results. And then it's up to them working through their issues, through their emotions, how they stay on track. So I'm very passionate about this information, as you can see.
And one thing so I found you, I think on Amazon. You have a very
book, a couple of books, yeah.
A couple of books even, and yeah. I found your story on your website. And then one thing that I can't remember if it was online or in our conversation that I found really amazing was that you don't just work with people one-on-one necessarily. You bring groups together and or you do like a retreat type environment.
Yeah.
Because as we all know, there is no magical pill or drink or injection. It's a couple of things. It's multifactorial. So you work with someone over an extended period of time, either remotely, I'm presuming, and or in person, which is really, really magical.
Yes. I found through the years of doing this many different ways. First of all, let me just say, I did not wake up one morning and decide to be this counselor from inflammatory bowel disease. I was going to be a special education teacher. That was my career. But I got led to this path because I wanted to give back. I wanted to get the information out, to help people grab the information early on. You know, the people that walked in my door, not so much anymore because people are getting educated at a lot different level. But they're in crisis situation. They've tried everything else. The doctors have given up on them, and this is all we can do for you. And they're still desperate, and they still can't leave the house. And so that's the type of situation I get. And I get a lot of young children now. So I have a whole program for children. So the thing is, it is individual. And I realized that when I was sitting in the doctor's office after being diagnosed, there was a room full of colitis, Crohn's, diverticulitis, all that was prevalent at that time. And we each got the same drug as we left. And some of us had good results or quick results with the drug for a while, and some of us didn't. Why is that? And it's all about the way you metabolize. And so when I work with people, I do remotely when they have a good support system and can get on track. Otherwise, I do one-on-one. I actually have a 10-day residential program in my home. And this way, the 24/7 concept of watching somebody go through the day, because we know that flare-ups are different. Some are all in the morning. Some are all in the evening. And so to be able to work with that person and guide them through their flare-ups to the situation and changing the energy on the spot becomes crucial to allow the stress to be dispersed so it can heal, because the tissue is trying to heal. The body's not programmed to be sick. The body's programmed to always be regenerating. And at the point that we provide those tools, then your regeneration is at a different level. And that's what I had in my own healing, how to get it ahead of, is to reprogram. You or somebody, when I came on, was saying about the doctors, even say that cutting out a colon, or, it's not a cure. It's not a cure because your body's still programmed to create inflammatory bowel disease. And until
it's a mask. It's a symptom producing drug that can take us away from the inflammation, etc. But so I didn't share this in the summit, and it's fairly controversial, and I hope it won't get me in trouble. But feel free to look at the One Great Gut website blog. There is a post that I reblogged from Dr. Dahlman. And I don't want to go and mention the title here or any of the content, but it's interesting to read what a doctor thought about this exact topic.
Good.
I have a question here from Alvina.
Okay.
Alvina asks, what method do you use for a holistic approach?
Well, it's whatever gets the person well. My teaching and my background is macrobiotics, food energetics. That's what helps me analyze the person through their voice, through their how they look. I look at the tongue. I press on certain points in the body. Our body's a map to what goes on in the inside. And so when I'm working one-to-one with someone and I can see them, then their color changes so dramatically. Their eye structure, everything just changes as you're eating. So that's what I use, is the energetic factors of yin and yang to guide me, to guide somebody.
So you use macrobiotic for food choices. How about for the emotional side? What do you
Also, you can use those energetic principles to guide you emotionally, physically, food-wise. That's what I found. It gives a nice magnifier to anything that's out there that may be good and supportive for the body, to bring it in for a particular person. And so
this is the first time I've heard this. So let me give maybe a specific. What if someone is pissed off because something happened? Maybe it was a work thing or a partner thing. Who knows?
Okay.
Would you be able to make a food choice based on someone being angry?
Sure. I mean, I raised 2 kids on this, and believe me, the minute they walked in that door after school, I could tell what mood they were in, and I was making the food choices to balance that out. You can, because you do get to know a person and see if their anger comes from liver dispersing, if their anger comes from pancreas being too tight, if their kidneys are, being triggered. Those are slightly different emotions of anger. And so you could, if that was needed. And with children, I find that food component being needed a little quicker, because with adults, you can walk them through it. You can have a conversation with an adult and walk them through an emotion. With a child, the food, changing the energy that way works a little quicker. Something as simple as
work with children,
warm.
right? Oh,
yeah.
Go ahead. No, you're about to mention some food, so please.
Yeah. So something as simple as warm apple juice relaxes a pancreas that may be tight, and somebody's caught up in worry and anger about something. Something as simple as shiitake tea can relax an emotion of grief. With you at the hospital, when we did a lot of seaweed, just to get the blood moving differently and get those blood levels higher. And so you can bring in a specific food item for a situation to change your energy quickly. Then you have to follow that up with sustainability.
Great answer. One more. Do you have time for another question?
Oh, sure.
Okay, so Kathy has a question here. Where do you begin when you aren't able to eat without causing a flare?
Yeah. That's a hard one because, I got to the point where I was drinking water and it was affecting me. I think to look at food and try to make it as digestive friendly as possible. And when a person's so highly triggered, I always recommend they go bland, whatever that means for them. If they go bland in baby food consistency, you have a better chance of not activating anything, and a better chance of maybe some absorption. And always thinking alkaline, always thinking make sure that the food you're bringing in is alkaline, sustaining or producing. So something as
bland alkaline foods that someone might want to puree and maybe.
Yeah. Well, some of the things I've used to calm situations down are, and I have to say that I was brought up in Chile, so a lot of the concepts were going back to what my grandmother did for me when I would get sick. Of the Latin countries, a lot of them do the soft rice. When a baby's tummy is upset, you make a bunch of soft rice, mash it up, and it settles the stomach. And so that is a good one that I use very frequently, just to do a 1-to-6 ratio of white rice, or if you can handle brown rice, you do brown rice, get that really creamy, and even put it through a food mill. And make sure you put a mineral in there. So it needs to have a little bit of salt, a little bit of seaweed in there to balance the acidity of the rice.
What's a food mill?
A food mill? A food mill is a stainless steel manual gadget that you can pick up at Bed & Bath & Beyond. And it has usually different trays to put in it. So people graduate throughout the milling process. And you put the food in there and you manually move it and it comes out creamy. All you're doing is gently removing the husk from the food item. So you're turning it into a digestible item that's very friendly to the gut.
It removes the insoluble fiber?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And you can do that. So you get the benefit of eating something freshly cooked and then put it through the food mill.
Great answer.
So that's
Virginia,
one.
Thank you for joining us. Thank you for sharing with your community, with your tribe. And I look forward to reconnecting after the summit wraps and getting your story out there, because we only had a couple of minutes here to share.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Joe. Good work. I applaud you.
You as well. Take care. All right, so I hope that answered your question, Kathy. I want to mention that I was in a similar situation in the hospital, and Virginia did help me a lot, actually. But before I reached out to her, I followed the integrative nutritionist's advice, and I went on a diet. Well, I followed two different people. I followed the integrative medical doctor, and he recommended congee, a particular recipe of congee. I'd be glad to share that in the Facebook group. It was really nourishing. As we all know, hospital food is terrible, non-organic, GMO. It's just not healthy. And so I was blessed to have amazing friends to make me this congee every day, and the nurses were really amazing to serve it to me every day, and it was significantly calming down my gut. So I was doing that, and then I don't remember why, but the doctors wanted me off of that. I don't remember the reason why, but I switched over to, and Google this, physician Integrative Therapeutics is the company. Physician Elemental Diet. And it's basically a powder that you would put into a blender combined with clean water, and it has all the broken down amino acids, etc., to relax your gut. And what's amazing is the science trials for that product show a super high remission rates. I don't believe as a consumer you can buy that, but you can probably contact the company and ask them what doctors or nutritionists or anybody, providers near your zip code would be able to, potentially prescribe that, or at least have a conversation around that. That may or may not be the best. You can also Google elemental diets. There's you can create your own. There's a lot of work, so that's why I prefer the Physician Elemental. And I'll be honest, right now I'm in I don't know if it's a flare parasite thing, like I'm using that every day with some other foods and supplements, and it's really helpful. It's really, really helpful. It actually doesn't taste that bad, but over time, drinking the same thing, it becomes a little redundant, right? But I'm kind of funny. I just stay connected to I want to heal, and I kind of power through. I wanted to address someone else's question. Jen, if you're still there, you said you didn't get to hear my story. What I do to get better? Please listen to this video, and you'll hear my story more. I mentioned another video on YouTube, which I'm actually super embarrassed to have on there. I should probably take it down, but it was a tour of my hospital room with things that were helpful. I probably don't sound like a sane person that day, but hopefully that's helpful. And as we just mentioned, there's no one thing. It's holistic, and it depends. It's integrative, and it depends like what is going on for that person at that time, and what is the cause of that. Right? We're looking at root causes here. Let me see. Was there anything else? Claudia, sure. So the company name is Integrative Therapeutics. And let me tell you how amazing this company is. So if you go back and look at GoFundMe or my Facebook page, like I was super public about my journey because nothing else to do. I stopped working the summit, and I just was sharing my journey as an inspiration, not as like a woe is me, feel bad, but like look what I'm doing to heal. And the company somehow found what I was doing and sharing, and they saw that I placed an order. It was on July 4th weekend, and the order wouldn't have gotten in time, and I would have ran out of food, which meant I had to find friends willing to sacrifice their time on July 4th. I'm single, so I have no family here in San Diego. I to sacrifice their time to make this kanji, or go back to hospital food, which would have certainly triggered some bad stuff. So they sent me a gift, and they accelerated shipment. Like that company went above and beyond to help me out. So Integrative Therapeutics is the company. Physician Elemental Diet is the product, and I highly endorse it. I wanted them as a sponsor for the summit. I didn't have time to paid sponsors, so they're not paying me at all. It's just it's a good one. Chris is right. The STD intro diet is another good one. Carrie says the Metagenics has one as well, a similar product. Okay, cool. So I promised you guys to be able to hear the music I was playing before, because what the heck is a party without music? That would be terrible, right? So let's get a little bit of music on so you can hear, because I really think that Can't Rush Your Healing is a pretty amazing song. Hopefully you guys hear that, and hopefully you guys hear this. Give me a comment if you can hear this music. I'll only play a little bit. It comes to me upon the strings when I hear it when I sleep. Can anyone hear the music or just me? I can't see it's my creation. Stay patient while it rains. can't hear. Well, I'm out. I'm going to put it as a comment because you should. Oh, now you can hear it. Cool. Awesome. So it's a really amazing song, and I think the frequency and the beats is important, but it's the words that you can't rush our healing. Because I don't know about you guys, but I want to be better tomorrow. Thanks, Alvina. I am going to post this. Post this into the comments. Yeah. So I just posted it into the comments, and what I'm also going to do is I'm going to post my playlist, and this is literally the playlist I would have on almost 24/7 when in the hospital. Obviously not when I was sleeping. There's some Jewish things there because I was raised Jewish. I have a lot of anger towards Judaism. I think we all anger towards something. And just to be transparent, my dad threatened to disown me when I dated a Catholic woman. That's the first woman I fell in love with because of Judaism. So there's some Jewish music there to kind of bring me back to my roots. And there's some other amazing songs that I think you guys would dig. Remember by Encore is amazing. I'm really big into like Bhakti, Kundalini music nowadays to promote healing. So I have a lot of that. Oh, and this is cool. So one of the humans I was connected to was this woman named Dorothy Lee Donahue. And she's up in LA. And I don't know what to call her. Energy worker, a psychic, a channel from, I don't know. But I've heard friends had really good results from working with her. And she has like a weekend class. And she was really nice to me. Like we weren't working together. She just knew I was in the hospital. And she sent me a healing, not a poem, but like a paragraph that I read every night before bed and every morning when I woke up. Because that's when our mind is not yet like in the conscious world, right? We're not awaking to whoever's sleeping next to us, the work we have to do, our to-do list. We're still in that like dreamy sleep state, and we're more susceptible to change that way, change of our brain cells, our neuroplasticity. So what we do right before sleep and before bed and waking up is super important. So I would read this paragraph, which if anyone reminds me, I'll post it in the Facebook group. And she also sent me these two songs. And they're kind of weird, but they're amazing as well. One of them is called I Love Myself the Way I Am. And the other one is called How Could Anyone, I think it's How Could Anyone Not Love You or something like that by Shania Knoll. So I'm not a crier. It's hugely difficult to get me to cry. Knowing what we know from Joe and others about emotions being so important. I really want to cry, but I don't. And so these songs would cause tears often, and pretty rad. So I'll post this in the comments right now. It also has some pretty funny things like babies laughing and laughter meditation. If you never tried that, that's pretty fun. So check this out. I'll post it right now. Hopefully that's public. If it's not, let me know. But I used a lot of this as well. Whew. What an amazing party so far, eh? We've had really, really good guests. I got a text from Dr. Sanderson that my fault. I didn't follow up with her, and she made plans for the evening for the yoga class. Can't fault that ever. But she's my personal naturopathic doctor, and she's going to be one of the bonus interviews about environmental medicine. You'll learn that one thing you should know is for functional medicine is that genes load the gun, and lifestyle and environment pull the trigger. So lifestyle is really important, and environment is really important. So she gives a download of what she learned at the latest environmental medicine conference she went to. She's a naturopathic doctor who practices functional medicine. She's given me Western medicine solutions all the time, but she uses it more intelligently than just, take this, nothing else will work. So that's one of the bonus interviews to check out. Sorry she couldn't join us, but she promised she'll be doing the future with us, so that's kind of cool. I promised you Dr. Tom O'Brien. So without any further ado, I wonder if I can show you him. Share my screen. That'd be cool. There's the man. Boom, look at that. That is Tom O'Brien. He's becoming a really good friend. He's an amazing doctor. I think the summit is really good, and you're going to love the summit. But the fact that I'm giving away for free the Betrayal documentary makes it even entirely worthwhile. So, Betrayal, the autoimmune solution they're not telling us. Really, really good stuff. And he gave it as a gift. Like, how amazing is that? So here's a little snippet that I found powerful from our interview last week. Let me rewind 1 second.
Physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or toy or something. Sure enough, I gotta start manager. And the great thing,
Sorry.
I promise you, the waiter usually will think you're a pain in the butt. It's extra work for them. It's extra work. Yeah, but you have to protect yourself. You have to protect yourself and your family. You have to, especially when you have symptoms that occur because of it.
Yeah, I think pushing a little bit. I mean, I've had waiters roll my eyes at me, and they're probably experiencing the same symptoms.
Raise your hand if you're afraid of pissing off waiters, pissing off restaurant staff, or looking silly among friends when you're placing an order at the restaurant. I think most of us can relate there.
But at home, or they're on the spectrum themselves. That's a really, really good point. I know it's new now, and you have to get going. I just wanted to cover one more point that I think is really important. In your book, you mentioned reframing what health means, and how when you go and give a presentation, you ask, "Are you healthy?" Everyone raises their hand, and I think there's a lot of crossover with that. Is when I talk to someone and I say, "Hey, how's your diet?" "Oh, I eat a healthy diet," and it closes off the conversation to discuss even what they're eating. So, what are your thoughts on what does health look like?
That's a really good question. But the medical dictionary Borland defines the word health. This is word for word. A state of optimal physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. So how many of you have optimal physical, mental, and social? I would report that here's another way I ask that question. On a 1 to 10, Mrs. Patient, 1 to 10. 10's the amount of energy you should have, 5 is half as much. But wait, take your willpower out of the equation. Take the 3 cups of coffee a day out of the equation. Take your willpower out of the equation, 1 to 10. And everyone, when I ask the question, on a 1 to 10, Mrs. Patient, 10 being what you think your energy should be, 5 is half as much, they've already got a number. But then I say, but wait, take your willpower out of the equation. And you see their face go, oh. Then they'll say, 4, maybe 6.
So I want to expand on that for a second. So I found something on Twitter today because my new friend, Karyn, shared something on her Twitter feed, and I reposted on Facebook and Twitter. And it came from, I actually don't know who this is, but she had a post, and I read the post, and it was amazing. It was a really informative blog post, it seemed like. And I think just like we should be looking at reframing what does it mean to be healthy, we should be reframing what it means like to be in remission. I think, I don't want to use the word cop-out, but I think if we tell ourselves that remission is the goal, don't get me wrong, remission is a heck of a lot better than a flare. And we're about to, we break the handcuffs from the toilet and we can go about our day. But at what expense? What brought us into remission? Was it immunosuppressants? Was it chemotherapy type drugs? Was it food as medicine? Was it supplements? So I think the word remission needs to be expanded more. Just like the conversation around is ulcerative colitis curable by surgery, another great question to ask yourself is, why am I in remission? And is this serving me long term? Again, I really want to enforce this. I have nothing against pharmaceutical medication. What I don't like, I want to share, this is messed up, I want to share this. It really makes me sad, I'm crying. So, a couple years ago, I decided, oh my God, I have this really great vision and for this integrative company that's going to help the Crohn's and colitis population, I need to connect with a celebrity who has IBD. And I made a list of all the celebrities who have Crohn's or colitis. And it's a significant amount, of course, right? They're just humans just like you and I. And I didn't do anything with that list. I had other projects going on. I was working on other things. This wasn't a full-time thing. And then a couple years later, I went back to that list. And I was like, let me see how they're doing. And I Googled each one. And I checked the news, because that's one thing we can check is the news with celebrities. You become a celebrity, your life in a lot of ways becomes an open book, for good or for bad. And I could not believe what I found. I found a ridiculous high number. It might have been every one of them. I don't remember. Was either dead or with cancer. And that just floored me. These are humans who are famous, who, I don't know if they're in remission or not, but they were IBD individuals that I wanted to connect with, and then they got cancer. And I've worked with cancer patients. I've worked with integrative cancer doctors. That's a whole different can of worms. And the good thing is cancer doctors, integrative cancer doctors, attack the gut first. So that's where they start. Yes, there's other things going on, but the microbiome, the gut, is where fixing needs to happen. Because just like colitis and Crohn's, cancer doesn't one day appear. It builds up over time. So the question that was on this woman's website, I think is great. I can't wait to ask my doctor this next time I see him, especially like a conventional medicine doctor. I'm just curious what the answer would be. Ask your doctor, what is the definition for remission for your disease? Is it microbiome health based? I just read that today. So is it because these medications don't improve our microbiome? They actually negatively impact our microbiome. So maybe if we ask that question, we might get different treatments, recommendations, suggestions. Or one of the best things I love when a doctor says this is, I don't know. Because their ego is not in the way and they're being honest. And I can look for someone that does know the answer to a question that I had. So rethinking remission. I hope that was helpful. Where do you guys want to go now? I can talk more about some of the awesome speakers coming up. Let me take down Tom. I can give a little snippet from one of the interviews. I can answer any questions with my knowledge. Just know I'm not your guru. I've just been at this for a long time. Let me know what you guys want. And until then, I am going to share another speaker that I am excited about. So I'm excited about Tara Roses. So she had a vicious cycle of a 3-year-long flare, and her GI doctor nothing to offer her, which is actually kind of cool, right? Like, that's great that they admitted, like, we're out of options. So she shares how she broke that vicious cycle. She shares what foods she introduced to give her massive gains overnight. She shares her favorite quotes that got her through the tough time, which, as we know, the mindset is huge. And she shares what she's able to eat today while still staying in remission and off of pharmaceutical drugs. Doug Kaufman is another amazing interview. I think he's tomorrow. I got connected to him from Anne Louise. We had an amazing conversation. He's hilarious. He's a former Marine corpsman, came back super sick from Vietnam, and has been teaching, studying, and speaking for 47 years. And he shares about the fungus connection. You may have seen that big study that was published last year, which I kind of laughed at because it was long overdue. But his interview is really great. And again, kind of what Virginia was sharing, he says, find your thumbprint, find what works for you, because there is no magic pill, right? This is really honorable. I want to, if I may, a little brag for a second. Doug entered the interview with this. This is why Anne contacted me and said, you got to talk to this guy, Joel. You're helping so many people. My hat's off to you. As I phase out of my career and you phase into yours, I sure feel like I'm leaving it in good hands with people like yourself, who have a huge heart and the ability to communicate all your thoughts. I'm really touched and honored by that for someone of his stature. He has the TV show that has I think it's the health TV show that has the most listeners nationwide. And he made that comment, like how amazing and touching is that. Nels, regarding your comment about ketogenic, I haven't studied it enough. I would like to bring on somebody who can chat about it more from a scientific point of view. That being said, I have a lot of friends who do ketogenic, the bulletproof community mostly, right? And they're finding massive success with it, from better energy, better sleep, lowered inflammation, etc. So I was playing it with it for a while. Someone else asked a question if there's a relation between sustainable high-fat diet and I can't remember if it was inflammation or something, but it's something I need to more explore more. It seems to be very helpful short term. I don't know about long term. I want to show you this. I'm all into biohacking and like whatever tool works. We all know the importance of sleep and how difficult that can be. This is one of my hacking tools. So these are blue light blockers. And, oh, sorry. So Tom's still on the screen. I apologize. So these are blue light blockers. And the importance of this is with the invention of incandescent lighting and regular lighting that happens in your house, it impedes the production of melatonin in your body. And melatonin is what we use to fall asleep. And sometimes people take sleep medication or melatonin supplements. And none of that's ideal, but it is helpful because sleep is so important. That's where we rest. So by wearing a blue light blocker, we are not allowing the toxic blue light in, and we actually get a little bit tired earlier. So I usually put this on in the evening. I think they look kind of cool. And I notice myself slowly getting a little bit tired. And then when I fall asleep, there's no issues. I've needed melatonin a lot less. There's a couple of big brand name companies. I haven't tried them yet. I want to. I literally bought these as welder goggles for like $6 on Amazon. So try them out, see if you like them. Get them for the whole family. It's not the only weirdo wearing them around, What else? Dr. Grace Liu, she's an amazing interview. So her interview is, she goes live on day 2, so Tuesday. And I went up and got training from her at the Microbiome and Genomics Conference. And she's just a rock star. She has IBD genes herself. And she works with people all around the globe to help their gut health. She runs the Gut Institute, which is pretty rad. She has her own formulation of probiotics. And we're doing something pretty cool this week, probably in one of the Facebook groups, probably for all access pass holders. It just seems to make more sense based on what she shared with people already, is that she's going to break down my 23andMe. So if 23andMe is a company that gives you your genetic SNPs, your genes, and based on our genes, we can then determine, what path we're more likely to go down. And, there's a lot of evidence that shows if you have, for example, the MTHFR mutation, that something as simple as vaccines is probably not a good idea. And there's a whole lot of other ramifications. So there is some privacy concerns with 23andMe, of course. I think they do sell to certain industries their data, but you can always submit your information as anonymous. And, to keep that, if you have any concerns over that. I'm an open book, as you've noticed, so we're going to go live in one of the groups, and I'll email out this week about that. I forgot which day and what time, but that's been pretty fun. You'll learn what to look for on your genetic markers and some helpful tips to move forward. Because we all have same diagnosis, so you're probably all have the similar diagnosis, right? Similar genes, I mean. That's been a really, really fun interview. She's so high energy and so much fun. Who else am I excited about? Oh, I interviewed a surgeon, which was really hard for me to interview because I don't want to think about surgery, but I was thinking about you guys and I wanted to give as much value as possible. So there's I'll say progressive surgeon up in LA, and she does a bunch of robotic techniques that make those procedures easier and less painful. To be honest, I thought her food recommendations could have been a little bit more in tune with what's better for your gut. But at the same time, the fact that she's gotten additional training around the world on some of these robotics and surgical techniques, I think she's a valuable interview to check out. I also chat about something very, I don't know if I say taboo, but not something people think about. And in these interviews, I'm always trying to think about what would you want to ask this person. I hope I reach that. I asked her about sexual function, anal sex. Like, if I'm having surgery down there and there's things being pulled out and I want to know if that's something that's important to somebody. Is there going to be any issues going forward? So tune in for that. Same day, I'm interviewing Jennifer Margulis. She discusses a very controversial topic, vaccine safety. I want to share that she is not anti-vax. She has vaccinated her children with some vaccines, but she gives us a little more information that you may or may not have from your current healthcare provider team. And way beyond vaccines, we talked about baby health, right? Just what a mother can do to take charge of her pregnancy and parenting, from diaper choices to breastfeeding choices to C-section. We talked about a lot of things. She's an award-winning science journalist, so I think we really did her interview. The next day, day 3, my friend Dr. Summer Nicole. So let me share a little about Dr. Summer Nicole. So she's a friend here in the community I live in, and 2 years ago I got an email from her that she was putting on a Reiki class. Now Reiki can be looked at as super woo-woo and super out there, and maybe it is. it's also something that is offered in a lot of hospitals. I don't think a hospital would not allow something that's not helpful in their, in their wall with liability insurance, right? I was super sick. I was just starting to explore the depths of energy and healing and other esoteric modalities. And so I signed up. It was like $250, and we did a day class, and it was interesting. It was weird. I got, what's the word? Not blessed, but anointed as a Reiki level 1 practitioner. I never did any work around it. I sometimes would play on myself, like hands-on healing, which feels really good. But Reiki doesn't have to be hands-on. It's energetics that works over distance. And I want to share something that happened. I have no explanation of how this happened. A couple months after that training, a friend reached out to me because they knew I was all about One Great Gut. And she said, hey, I have a friend, and her brother is contemplating suicide because of some icky things going on. Can you talk to him? I'm like, whoa, talk to someone contemplating suicide? Like, what do I know? And so I thought, it can't go any worse, right? So, like, sure, I'd be happy to talk to him. So I didn't speak to him. I actually spoke to the sister. So the sister lived here in San Diego, not too far from me. The brother was across the country in Connecticut. And she shared that he believed that everyone, his family, his colleagues, his friends, can smell his poop, like from the inside of his body in public. And he just couldn't look like that. And everybody told him that they can't smell anything. He just didn't believe it. So that's pretty deep, huh? And this is a woman who, her brother might not be alive when she flies across the country. For those not in America, it's a long flight across the country. It's 2,000 miles, and then the travel from the airport to and from, etc. And I could only explain it as I was taking on her energy, because what happened was my chest literally lit up in pain. And not like the typical pain we get from IBD here and there, but like my whole chest felt like someone was stabbing me. Like it was the most surreal thing I've ever experienced. And I'm thinking, do I take more Lialda? Do I drink new tea? Do I take more supplements? And I was like, no, they're not going to work because it's energetic, I believe. And I remembered something. I remembered that in Reiki training, they gave me the power, the ability, I think we all have, to break the cord, to cut the energetic tie. So after that phone call, which was like an hour long, and I gave her whatever tips I could give, and I'm happy to report him. He's still alive. Actually, I haven't chatted with him alive. I hope he is. But I was in pain after the phone call, and so I literally did this exercise where you cut the energetic cord, where I think many practitioners nowadays do that when they leave, the space of somebody else. And the craziest thing happened. Like that, the pain went away. Pretty amazing, right? So just something to keep in mind when it comes to placebo and mindset and energy and Reiki as we explore these in these sessions. She also donated a 1-month free trial to yoga doctors. She's a physical therapist doctor and went into yoga and Reiki as part of one of the bonuses. And something I didn't mention on the homepage, but I'll mention now, we talked about plant medicine. And this is super controversial, probably because it's illegal. Things like ayahuasca and wachuma and mushrooms, and there's a whole slew of them that's really popular nowadays. That's doing a lot of great things. Usually in other countries, Peru, Reset.me is a great website. It's very useful to helping curing even PTSD naturally. And the reason why I got into this was not because I enjoy drugs or because I want to experience some of these things. It's because when I interviewed Roman Hannes, he's one of the interviews. He has a center in Peru. He has a very traumatic Crohn's story like most of us. And ayahuasca was his cure. That's what he says. And he tried everything. From Western, allopathic, to Chinese, to everything. And it's a really informative interview. And then I interviewed Stefan Grafstein. He's a friend of mine. And he gave some really great tips of colitis being terrible, and then today he's totally fine, and his whole journey. And I emailed him, and I was like, hey, dude, what do you think the topic of our talk should be called for the website? He's like, entheogens for IBD. And entheogen is a more PC term for plant medicine. And that wasn't the end-all, be-all for him, but he believed that's one of the quicker ways to heal, to increase consciousness, to elevate our state, our vibration, our happiness, to maybe notice things in our life that are incongruent with what we truly want, and it illuminates that. So yes, I've taken part in some ceremonies with some of these medicines. It's not curative for me, but I feel I have a lot of really good insights and visions, and just different shifts in awareness. So something to just consider that a couple. Oh, and there's another dude who Marcus. That's his alias because he lives in Sweden. I'm going to upload. I'm not going to upload it yet, but I'll upload his interview to the bonus area for All Access Pass. He used certain medicines to heal in Sweden when doctors couldn't help his colitis, and super interesting interview. And I love Dr. Summer Nicole brought in her medical perspective around those medicines. And I'm a big fan of using whatever it takes that's safe and effective, and something you desire. I probably shouldn't be saying this publicly, but fuck it, right? What would I have to lose? There's a famous Martin Luther King quote, and it's something to the effect of, we are obligated to follow just laws, just as obligated we are to break unjust laws. And obviously him coming from, slavery and the African American movement, etc., like that time frame, that paradigm, that shift, very apparent. But I would take that to a lot of other things. Maybe medical marijuana, maybe some of these plant medicines, maybe kratom. I don't know. Something they can just consider. So I'm not advocating this. I'm not telling you to do this. Once again, I'm just trying to do my best to present options, and you can make your most informed decision on what you want to do to get better. Because obviously the current way we're progressing is only getting people more and more sick. Carol, to answer your question, how long are each of the summit sessions? Each of the summit sessions totally vary, actually. It depends. I had a script that I went through with certain questions, but as you can tell, I'm not a script guy, and it's pretty organic and flowy, and they range from 45 minutes to 2 hours. Depends how deep we got, if I had to run to the bathroom or if I got brain fog, right? So it really depends on each one. Hope that answers your question. Let me know if you have any others. Who else am I excited about? Dr. Rajiv Sharma, integrative gastroenterologist in Illinois, and he walks the talk. He eats healthy. He loves probiotics, drinks kefir, right? So I think it's important to be with providers who walk the talk and not just recommend something they heard in school. So he's amazing. He's been a great friend, and I recommend checking out his interviews. Integrative. He's not holistic. He's not Western. He walks the line. Somebody asked earlier about fecal transplant. So yes, we are definitely including fecal transplant. Dr. Mark Davis, which is arguably the U.S. expert, a naturopath doctor on fecal transplants, gave his time. And if you're interested, I could share more about a retreat he's doing next month in Mexico, just a short pickup. They pick you up from San Diego Airport. And it's like a 10-day retreat, I think, for FMT. You can easily do it at home if you get over the ick factor, but it's not bad doing it on the beach in Mexico at a medical facility with organic food and stuff, right? So we definitely cover fecal transplants. Jessica Flanagan. So again, also on day 4, she's amazing. So she's really big in the AIP lifestyle. And I know some of you have mentioned AIP as a helpful healing diet. But as we all know, there's an emotional toll with these strict diets, right? Maybe social engagements, maybe cooking accidents, maybe our friends or family or waiters like not believing that gluten is a thing. Like seriously, that's the current narrative right now. I'll see articles on CNN or one of the big medias where is gluten the new fad diet? Well, it's not fad diet. It's anti-inflammatory. So anyway, she talks about this concept called the loving diet, and I really, really dig. I haven't read her book yet. I breezed through it. My last roommate had it, but it's really important that we do everything with love. And her question that she likes posing to her clients or asking herself is this the most loving thing for me right now? Is this the most loving thing for me right now? So that's just like Joe talked about intuition, the importance of intuition. If we ask ourselves that question, we determine what's best for us, right? For those listening who are post-surgery or have decided surgery is the option for them. Eric Olsonelli from Vegan Ostomy shares his helpful tips and tricks and products for those ostomy individuals. That's a really useful conversation, very educational for me because I have not had surgery. Hopefully I'll never have surgery, but I'm open to it if it saves my life. And I'm very ignorant on surgical stuff, so it was very educational for me. Dr. Tom O'Brien, the title of the talk was, Why Does the Immune System Attack Our Own Tissue and What We Can Do About It? I think that's a really great talk. Kim, great question. Where can we find who is speaking each day on their topic? It's on the website, Crohn'sandColitesSummit.com, and if you just go to the main site, it's there in the middle. And I will email everyone who signed up who that day's speakers are and what link to use to access them. Great question. Let's see. So now we're on day 5, the last day, which is this coming Friday. Cool interview. I mentioned Roman Hannes. He's the one who claims he's cured from ayahuasca. I don't know if I would agree with that, to be honest. I was chatting with Dr. O'Brien, Tom, and I think cure is a funny word. I think the only cure is prevention. And it's as simple as, if you stop doing whatever you are doing to cure your disease, it's going to come back, right? Whether it's diet, whether it's the emotional work Joe has done, whether it's mindset, whether it's plant medicine, whatever these tools are, if we go back to the old lifestyle, the old mindset that we had, that these individuals had, I think they get disease. So I think cure is a bullshit word, and I'm hoping people watch this who don't have these conditions so they can prevent getting them. Because you and I know once you get them, life changes in a heartbeat significantly. So I think remission without pharmaceuticals is an awesome goal. I think to tell yourself that you're cured is a very helpful mindset and placebo, and to retrain our brains. But I believe that if we go back to the old lifestyle, I partied a lot in my 20s. I drank a lot. I was an asshole. Like, I grew up in the bleachers of Yankee Stadium. When I went through my yoga teacher training in 2012, one of my good friends said, she's like, Joel, now that you're a yoga teacher, you're not any longer an asshole. I was floored. I didn't know I was one. No one told me. So, like, it would be impossible for me to go back to that state, but I think if I did, I'd probably have no more symptoms. So let's see. Day 5. So I mentioned Roman. Dane Johnson. This guy's rad. He is a model. He's a actor. He's a nutritionist, and he works with patients all over the globe. But besides for that, his healing journey is rad. Just like mine, he shares a puppy, and a little different than me. He has like a body built like a fitness star, because I think he is one. He's been announced health and all that, and he had a really tough journey. And he's off medicine. We talk a lot. It's one of the longer interviews because he's become an awesome friend. I think you'll learn a lot from him, and he has some good tips to start on that journey. Paul Lember, he's another friend. I mentioned all these patients keep coming at me. I got introduced to him through a mutual friend here in North County, San Diego, and we were just chatting about work and life and e-commerce, and learned that he had Crohn's disease for many years. My friend didn't even know that. I don't believe in coincidences. And he used visualization, like no joke, literally, to heal his body. And this was before this was all like popular or on the internet. This was 27 years ago, I think. And I hang out with him today. He does not have any IBD symptoms. He's totally off of that stuff. And it's pretty amazing. Give some useful tips on how to move down that route. And that's exactly why I included certain bonuses that are helpful with meditation and visualization, because how helpful they are. 1 second, I've been talking a lot. So also on day 5 is Stefan Grafstein I mentioned before, and 2 others that I think are really, really important videos. One is Laura Styler. Laura is similar to my story before. I don't know how to describe her. She's an energy healer. She's a former international runway model who found herself bedridden with RA, rheumatoid arthritis, and today she's healed. Like, how healed is she? She is so healed that she changed the RF factor numbers on her blood report to the amazement of her doctors. That's how healed she is from this thing called energy. So she shares or talks about the emotional and energetic connection to disease and how to empower yourself. I've worked with her one-on-one. I think she works remote as well. She works out of Encinitas, California, near San Diego, and New York. And I don't know, she can see stuff in me that I don't know how she sees. Pretty talented woman. And I don't care if you work with her. I mean, it's up to you, but at least tune into that, because we go for a while because she has so much insight and valuable information. She just gave a keynote speech at a conference. She's very well spoken, and a lot of value packed in that one. Let me tell you, I have all these stories on energy, and I don't want to sound too woo-woo and too out there, but I think it's important to tell you these stories of what's possible. Hopefully you find me credible and you believe me. So one of the healers who helped me when I was in the hospital, because I was so transparent online, I feel like the more we share our truth, the more others can show up and help, was a Qigong teacher I hadn't seen in like 2 years. And she saw I was in deep doo-doo in the hospital, and she came to visit me. And she did some Qigong on me. I was not, I couldn't get up. I was just passed out, and I think I took a nap. I was just in her presence. I think I included her video. I took a video of a little bit before I passed out on that video I mentioned on YouTube. And it was the craziest thing. It was July 4th weekend, and I was kind of depressed because, the weekend in the hospital was kind of lonely, never mind a Independence holiday, right? And I went for a walk on the campus. Took my pole with the IV, and I loved that thing around. And I've never felt connected to everything around me. I know this sounds crazy. Like I felt, I don't know, this thing called oneness and connection to the cars and the grass and the ground and the playground. It was the most profound thing. And at the end of the day, I just felt great. I just felt like at peace. And so there's something to Qigong that I can't explain. I lived with her. It's kind of ironic. My lease ran out when I was in the hospital, so I was scrambling for housing, and she took me in for about a month. And I lived with her, and I was still healing, obviously, right? You don't get out of the hospital and you're fine. And you're better, but you still have more to go. And I'll never forget the day, and I think you guys celebrate this day too. That day when you go from like a lot of like icky bowel movements to like a solid one. And you're like, yes, I've achieved success. Like, that's what I want to keep doing, right? So there was one particular day where I had solid bowel movements, and I was thinking, I didn't do anything different. I'm still continuing my path. I wonder if it was me. I don't know. And so that night, she works elsewhere, she came home and asked me, she's like, hey, how are you feeling? I'm like, I had a really good day. This is what happened. And she's like, oh, good. Yeah, I worked on you today. Well, what do you mean? She's like, yeah, I did some remote energy work on you. So, and gotta get this. So then she's like, yeah, so I did the work right here. And she pointed on her body, the exact location where I had the pain myself earlier. I don't know. Did she have a camera in the house? Did she watching me hold my belly? Or did she, I don't know the answer, but she is a miracle worker and did she's removed brain fog through Qigong. Qigong is really helpful because sometimes we're not mobile enough to be able to do yoga or go to the gym or go for a run. So how we can slow it down to maybe go for a walk or do some Qigong is really, really helpful. So I hope it doesn't make me sound too crazy and too out there, but these are literally personal experiences of what I've experienced with these practitioners. Oh, so day 5 also, Dr. Jeff Harris. So he's up in Seattle. He also travels, and he teaches other practitioners around the globe this thing called prolo and neural therapy. And it is very healing on the scars that we have on our body. Our first scar being our belly button. And if you had surgery, you probably have other scars. And I went to him for that, but also I was having some prostate things happening, and he was able to, don't be a little alarmed, but inject something into there that actually felt pretty good to induce healing. He's a very advanced healer, and we talk about the 5 levels of healing. His view that he's learned from some pretty advanced chronic disease specialists. And just the fact that he offers this therapy that can heal energetics. And again, I'm going back to energy, but I don't know how he would talk about it. We probably talked about it in the interview. We probably explored this. But, when you have a cut because of surgery, there's external energy there that's not yours. How can you release that? How can you clear that? How can you make it more whole of you? Perfect example, I'm a medical doctor. I was working with an integrative medical doctor for a while, GI, and at that time it looked like I would need a blood transfusion. And I was super nervous. And I said, Dr. So-and-so, would you get a blood transfusion yourself? It's a great question to ask, by the way. Like, would they do it themselves? And she said, no. I said, why? She goes, because of energy. I don't want someone else's energy in me. So, there's been instances where people who've gotten prosthetic surgery, limbs from somebody else, then receive the mental information of a crime and a location where a body is because of what came in via that arm or whatever that is. Like, that's literally, you can look it up online. I learned that from a doctor. So just something to keep aware of with, that asking the right questions is helpful, energy is real, and it's not to say don't do these things. I did get a blood transfusion in the hospital. I think it went well. I don't think I'm that off. I got the rabbi to come ASAP and bless it. I've done Reiki, so I kind of did my own thing. I was super fucking nervous, but it went great, and it was life saving. I really needed it. So those are all. Oh, last speaker. Gotta mention Camille Macris. She's the author of an awesome book called Paleogasm. Lifelong chef, because she was a chef before she had health problems. And once she got them, she decided to learn more about other healing diets. She's chosen paleo, and she has really easy to follow classes online. So we talk about some helpful tips, how to save money on a budget, how to eat paleo on a budget. And she gave a gift, I think, like some ridiculous number, like 75% off for paleo cooking school that I need to take, actually, because cooking skills are great, but I just love learning how to cook things, best friends, best myself. So her story is really great. She gives very actionable tips on that interview. So I think I covered all of the interviews as part of the summit. Again, I'm open to questions. I want to mention some of the bonus stuff just because I really pressed hard to just not make the summit all access pass, just the interviews, like I wanted other valuable things. So, hey, don't, gotta stop listening to that. So yes, you get lifetime access to everything. I pay all the fees to keep it online. You get the MP3 audio for almost all the interviews. The last couple I wasn't able to do I'm sorry, audio, all of it. I turned all of them into audio. PDFs I wasn't able to do for the last couple. I apologize. Just know the PDF alone cost me over $1,000 to transfer this into PDF. Just fact. But I find them very useful because the quickest way I can go through these and skip something. Or I'll sometimes put a video or audio on like 2x speed to it's amazing how much you can take in even though it's faster speed. What else did we do? It was like $2,000 was my goal. I think I met that. Let me tell you what's there. Yes, you get the videos, you get the audio transcriptions, the Q&A with Grace we're going to do. I'm also going to add others. Some other speakers and non-speakers have agreed to do Q&As. I need to schedule things, and I kind of want to test how this worked. Again, I'm not stoked that it's just Facebook, but I might buy something that costs a lot of money to allow it elsewhere. Let me figure that out. What else? The Betrayal docuseries, like that is amazing. It's not going to be in your inbox right away. You'll have to wait a little bit, which is great. Time to watch the summit, but I think maybe later this month, I believe, is when they're launching that. 85 experts on that, and I know it sounds like a lot, but it saves us from having to go back to school. It saves us from having to search all on the web, and it was done by Dr. Tom O'Brien, by someone who understands functional medicine, understands what we need to learn to educate ourselves and empower ourselves. This is kind of cool. Dry Farm Wines has donated a six bottle case. This is an SCD-friendly, gluten-friendly, low, slow carb, ketogenic, paleo-friendly wine. No hangover, no headaches, etc. So I enter a raffle into that. More culinary training with Megan Gleppner. The Parasite ebook I mentioned earlier, and a coupon from Anne. Grace Liu is giving us the Magic in Your Microbiome, a short ebook to educate us on the microbiome. This is amazing. Headspace offered a lifetime subscription to their app, which works for Android and iPhone, which is valued like almost more than $400. Super easy way to meditate. My friend Jennifer James, who's a USA Today bestselling writer, donated 3 Real Food Kids DVD. She went that route, and not because she loves healthy foods, or as always, we both would eat pretty crappy when we lived together in DC. But she had 2 children born, and they had some medical conditions that required her to educate. I mentioned the Yoga Doctors TV 1-month trial. This is kind of cool. If you're local to San Diego, it might mean something to you. If you're not, maybe you'll travel. Sorry, but sorry if you can. I mean, but the founder of the San Diego Yoga Festival donated a donation-only ticket, and tickets are going for almost $200. So that's in March 2018, and everyone who buys the pass will have access to that link. We'll definitely be going there. I might perform, present something we do called Love Your Guts. We'll see about that. And numerous other interviews. So these interviews, yes, Carrie, the wine is not just organic, it's biodynamic. So meeting the CEO, Todd White, really educated me on just like every industry, the real messed upness of the wine industry. Do you ever wonder why alcohol doesn't need to write their ingredients on the labels? That's kind of crazy, right? Shouldn't we know what we bring in our body? So it goes pretty deep in the wine industry, and he's, like myself, very transparent, and it's super clean. It's clean water, clean grapes, very tasty, and I think I have a coupon. How do I? If you're interested, I think I can get you a penny bottle to purchase, something like that. Aside from the raffle entry, let me know if anyone's interested in that. So I can send that out. As you've noticed, like my mission is to connect those who are hurting with meaningful products and services and information that's helpful. That's what I do day in, day out, is like research this stuff and learn and try and etc. So dry farm wines is one of those things. So other interviews. About a couple of years ago, I wanted to start a podcast, and I was going to call it Talking Shit with Joel. And maybe it'll happen, I don't know, but I put it on hold. But I recorded these killer conversations, and it just sits on my laptop, and that's just not fair to the person's time that I took and to you guys with good information. So I'm including all of those as bonuses. Who did I interview? I mentioned Dr. Heather Sanderson on environmental medicine. My buddy, Dr. Jip Lee, he's a emergency room physician and has went deep into the studies of mindset and NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. And I've worked with him. I don't think he's very committed to his family and his children, but it's more of an intro into like what is NLP, what's possible. It's very, very helpful for mindset. I mean, it can cure smoking in some people, right? That's a pretty cool interview. I interviewed my friend, Dr. Zagoni. She's a gut health and fertility expert, naturopathic doctor. And she gave a fairly saucy belly dancing video as a bonus that I need to figure out how to upload. That she says it's very helpful for fertility. And she's a professional belly dancer, so it's a real gift to check that out. I'll include the audio interview as well as the video. Joey Morstad, my buddy here in San Diego, who also has IBD. He's the author of the IBD Fitness Solution. We talk about fitness, the importance of it, the easy things you can do if you're in a flare, etc. Dr. Ben Johnson, I worked with him for a while, and he's an integrative oncologist. He has an amazing personal story. He healed himself of ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease. Like, wow. And he works with cancer patients. So he used to be a gastro, and we chat about some things that probably hasn't heard from your gastro that he tells his current patients about. Marcus Ettinger is a advanced functional medicine practitioner up in Orange County. We chat about some functional medicine viewpoints and helpful tools. And I mentioned the all-star hero Marcus from Sweden, here with Colitis. Oh, this is cool. I've been meditating with this almost every day. The Renegade Relaxation course from Niraj Nayak. Niraj is another all-star hero. He's a former pharmacist in the UK who realized that world was, the answers weren't for him in that world, and he healed himself, and he's totally healed for a long time. I haven't yet interviewed him, so stay tuned for that, but he gifted us in his Renegade Relaxation course, which feels amazing. It's a guided stress reduction session and a guided deep sleep session. I mentioned Paleo Cooking School Basics. My friend Kimball, who's a health coach, gifted you a 14-day reset. She's a certified health coach, went to school together at IIM, integrated nutrition, and she also went on to work, get trained as a functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner. So her, not landmark, her first course is called the 14-Day Reset, and that's available to you, and the ebook from Dave Johnson, 6 Tips to Healing Crohn and Colitis. So I think it's a lot of cool stuff. I hope it makes it worthwhile. Again, no obligation to purchase. I hope you do. I personally think there's more investment when there's more skin in the game. I know with coaches I've worked with and things I've tried, whether it's free or paid, I seem to have more likelihood of receiving the benefits through paying. But I'm not telling you how to, live your life. So, and I wanted to make it accessible to everyone because I know disability is a real thing. Medical bankruptcy is a real thing. So, what do we got? Oh, wow. Kim, you are amazing. You're signing off at 5 a.m. Where in the world are you? Thank you so much for being here this long. Oh, wow. Thank you so much. Have a great night, day, sleep. So Karyn mentions rehab for hypnotherapy. Yeah, I will be interviewing more hypnotherapists. I covered it a little bit through different modalities. Some of the meditation training is light hypnotherapy. NLP obviously incorporates hypnotherapy, and I'm going to incorporate it more because I think you'll hear it in some of the healing all-star interviews as well that some of them used self-hypnosis. And I want that to be something accessible for all of us. We all should be able to, proper place and space, not while you're driving, to self-hypnotize us to get to a better place, less stress, more happiness, more pain. Like they're different. Hypnotherapy is amazing. Claudia, is there a case of the wine given away as a bonus as part of the drawing? Is there a case of wine given away as part of the drawing as a bonus? It's both. Good question. Sorry for the confusion. It's a bonus for all access pass holders, and there were some legal ramifications, and they couldn't do more this time around. We're working on some other partnerships, but they were able to give 1 6-pack. So it'll be a draw. It'll be a raffle to one all access pass holder once the cart closes. I think that's next week sometime. I'll have to check. So hope that answers your question on that. Any other question, guys? I know we've been here for a long time. I did not expect to be going this long. I'm so grateful that you guys stuck with me. Even if you dropped in for a couple of minutes, thank you. I know there's so many other places you could have been, maybe you wanted to be, rather than talking about disease, right? But you've made a commitment to get better and to learn new things, to heal yourself. I think that's so commendable. It really is. You're welcome, Sheila. Sorry it was so long. Thank you for staying on board. Carrie, Briggs protocol. Great question. I haven't reached out to Michael. I think it's a very valuable tool. I want to feature it more, teach people what it is, give information. Anyone listening can Google it, but it's always more valuable living directly from from the person. So that's it, guys. I think we maybe need some sign-off music. What do you guys think? What should I play to end the party? I think this is what I think of when parties end, because I don't know, bar mitzvahs and weddings and like this is what we used to do as a kid, and it has a lot of meaning to me. Let's check it out. Oh, wait,
Every business needs
advertising. Sorry. A lot of good memories. All right, I was kidding. That obviously wasn't a goodbye song, but I just love shout shout. The one that I'm trying to find. Don't have it here. I wanted to play the one that we always played at sport games. Na 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 na. Hey, goodbye. I like karaoke if you haven't gotten that yet. All right, guys, signing off. Wherever you are in the world, have an amazing rest of your day, and look forward to seeing you tomorrow morning, or at actually 11:59 tonight. So just a couple hours for day 1. 2-hour health.